So yeah, welcome ZP. Should I be saying Happy New Year? Today is 12th, but because we have
Yes,
not,
it's still
yeah,
Happy New Year.
it's still Happy New Year up to the end of the
Yeah,
month. Yeah,
yeah, we still have some time to wish one another Happy New Year.
that's true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So as we begin, welcome to PhD stories. Of course, we just want to hear stories about people and their PhD journeys and
Uh-huh.
everything about it. So maybe we can just start by getting to hear about yourself. Who is Zipporah Mwangi?
So Zipporah Mwangi is a graduate student at Corvinus University of Budapest in the Doctoral School of Sociology and Communication Science, and my department is in Communication Science. And so I am a communication and cultural enthusiast.
Mhm.
My current area of research is on social media. So I'm looking at social media influencers. I'm also looking at the buyer decision making process. I'm
Mhm.
looking at cultural production on
Mhm.
different social media platforms.
Interesting.
So generally, that's my area of interest in as far as research is concerned.
Okay.
Yes.
Social media influencers. How did you get to that? How did you?
Uh, that's interesting. Yes, because actually how I got to that was I was trying to figure out what area of communication I wanted to do, also
Mhm.
the area of research that I wanted to focus on. And
Mhm.
and my master's thesis was on TV. I was just simply looking at
Uh-huh.
advertising,
Okay.
and I was looking at advertising in majorly television and in terms
Mhm.
of gender representation. And so when I
Mhm.
thought of doing a doctoral program, I wondered whether that was the best way to go about it, and felt no, having done that already, I wanted to do something a bit different. And so it's still in terms of I've always been interested in the area of marketing. And
Mhm.
so I was looking at it and I realized, well, influencer marketing is something that is on the rise. People are spending a lot of millions on it, and
Yeah.
there's a lot happening in that area, and it's
Yeah.
still a study that is worth carrying out in this era. And so I felt, well, let me look for something in this area that then maybe can be helpful, not just
Okay.
for academia, but maybe hopefully then it would inform a few other decisions that organizations would want to make.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. And Hungary. I mean, was it always in your mind? How did you end up in that place?
Oh no, Hungary was not in
Why
my
not
mind. I
Jamaica? Why
wasn't
not?
thinking about it. I know, I would say that initially when I was thinking about doing a PhD, I
Mhm.
thought I thought mostly about doing it in Canada or doing it in the UK.
Mhm.
Majorly because I had friends who were in Canada and I had friends in the
Uh-huh.
UK, and they could give me information about maybe the universities that were there. So initially, when I started looking for PhD and especially scholarship programs,
Mhm.
I could not really get what I was looking for
Mhm.
in terms of I was looking for a fully funded program. And so I
Okay.
realized that then in that season when I was looking for the programs, I couldn't get a fully funded program,
Okay.
and I thought I needed to just give it a break. So
Mhm.
that was in about 2018,
Mhm.
2018, early 2019, and I
At that
felt
time, you were done with your masters.
yeah, at that time I was already done with my masters, and so I felt I need to give it a break first, take a breather, think through it, and figure out how to go about it. Because one of the challenges I found with when people are thinking about scholarships is that sometimes you don't know where to look.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
have
That's
different
true.
stories. People tell you, I applied for this PhD program, this is how I did it, or I'm in this country or in that country, but it's always very difficult to figure out. So where can I get like a full list of scholarship
Mhm.
programs that then can give me an idea of where to start. So that was my biggest challenge, because I asked people and people will give you information based on what they did. And sometimes that's their story and it's a bit difficult to follow it and, get a successful plan out of it yourself. So I later came on to realize that, and maybe I could just throw in one way that somebody can do that in terms of trying to establish the scholarship programs is that you can simply visit the Ministry of Education website.
Okay.
So if you check
in
on
Kenya,
the
that is now in their countries,
yes,
whichever place.
Yeah, if you're in Kenya and you're looking for a scholarship program, simply go to Ministry of Education website, and then on the tabs where they're talking about the home, the about us, simply go to services and then click on scholarships, and it will give you a very long list of scholarships that actually are available. So I didn't know this at the point at which I was applying, honestly. I didn't know that was actually there.
Possible, yeah.
Yeah, that was actually possible. And then the other way that you could actually identify scholarship programs is that you can simply go to LinkedIn and simply type out the word scholarships, and you will find that that on LinkedIn you will find people that have posted different things on the open scholarships that are currently available. So you find there are such a huge number of scholarships available, but it is that many people don't know where to look. So that becomes difficult.
Yeah, that's true. You're just reminding me, I mean, on LinkedIn, I always just see people posting, taken up, congratulations, taken up this position. So we can also post scholarships.
Yes, I mean they're there. And also it fully depends with the people that you are following on LinkedIn. Because that's the you need to diversify the number of people that you're following. Or so your connections, you need to diversify your connections as well, the organizations you're following, so that way it exposes you to all the information you're looking for. So I mean, if you're aspiring to be a PhD graduate student in somewhere maybe abroad, it would be wise to look for connections in that area. You could look for people who are research fellows or a researcher or a PhD graduate student or something of that sort, so that then that helps you, because those are the people who are most likely going to give you an idea of what it is that you're looking for.
That's true.
So it's that you need to have a strategy either way on how you're going to get a scholarship or how you're going to get information. Because the first part is getting the information.
The right information, that is. So is that how you landed the scholarship?
So no, actually that's not how I landed my
this is something now you're reflecting, looking back, and you're thinking,
as I look back, I'm like, this is what I should have done, but I didn't do it. So what happened is that I actually got to know about this scholarship from a WhatsApp message.
Really?
So yes, I was at work with a colleague and he was reading a message from a WhatsApp group. He was in a WhatsApp group with his former high school mates. And so somebody had posted a PDF document about this particular scholarship. It's called the Stipendium Hungaricum Scholarship. And so when he read it, I was like, okay, that sounds interesting and sounds like something that I could do. And so I told him, please send it to me on WhatsApp. I'll have a look at it, make an assessment of whether it works out for me, and then I can make the application. So when I went home on that day, because I remember it was actually I saw that on a Friday evening. And I went through that information on Saturday and realized this is actually something I can apply for. I actually qualify for this. So I simply sat down and read through the document and started preparing my documents and whatever it is that I needed for that thing. And so another maybe something that I could also mention here is that it's important to read. I think we're in a habit of, for example, you find a document and most of us simply just scan through it quickly, but you don't read in details the
close reading.
Requirements. Yes, like get into check what are you eligible or not for that scholarship? What documentation do they expect? Because like now for us, one of the expectations was that you need to identify
potential supervisor.
A potential supervisor. So I mean, I'm in Kenya. I need to identify a supervisor in Hungary. I've not been in Hungary before. I've not studied in Hungary before. So you can imagine the challenges of trying to figure that out. And so I didn't know. At that time when I wanted to apply, I didn't know anyone who was in Hungary. that could give me an idea. I didn't even know like the school that I could apply to.
Oh, okay. So this was not tied down to, sorry, it was not tied down to a particular institution, it was just open.
No, it was open. It was open. All you needed to do was simply go to their website and then establish. They had a long list of the different universities in Hungary that you could identify the university and the program that you actually want to take. So for me, I worked the other way around. I didn't have the school in mind. I had the program in mind. I knew I wanted to do something in communication, but I didn't have the school in mind. Yeah, so I worked backwards. I simply worked from going to the website, looking through the different universities available, checking what universities offering communication, and then now from there go to the university website, establish all the lecturers that they actually have, then send them email messages, the ones that I found, because their CVs are online. They're on the website. Yeah. So I could
you're not just looking at, you're not looking at this name. I think I can pronounce this one. Maybe this one can be my supervisor.
Actually, no. It was simply go to the website, identify. I mean, people have the university lecturers have their profiles on the website. And
their research profiles,
CVs. Yes. Yeah, they have their areas of study, the things that they are doing. So with that, I could clearly, of course, you may not necessarily get someone who wants to do that particular research topic, but
something close.
Yeah, so close. So that's how I ended up getting and I realized that the school had changed how they were getting supervisors. So they were giving the supervisors much later, but the doctoral school would write a recommendation letter. That they have accepted you into the program, and they'll give you a supervisor once you have joined the university. Yeah. So different schools
operate differently.
Yeah, they work differently. I know there are universities where you do have to identify the supervisor first. They have to accept. Yeah, and that's one of the requirements for you to be able to go through with the scholarship program.
Okay, interesting. And by the way, this scholarship is by the government or?
Oh yes, it is. It's through the
Kenyan government or both governments.
It's a scholarship. It's a scholarship from the Hungarian government, of course, from the EU through the Hungarian government.
Okay.
To now using in partnership with the Kenyan government.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Kenyan government, that is the Ministry of Higher Education, is acts as an agent.
Okay. I get you.
So they act as an agent. So what they actually do is because you have to make you have to make an application through the Ministry of Higher Education, because you have to sit in for a first interview with the Ministry of Higher Education.
Where?
They have
in Kenya?
To establish. In Kenya, yes.
Okay,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so in Kenya, because they have to establish whether you meet the basic requirements. They have to go through your documentation, check whether you have actually certified your documents as expected, whether you actually have the research proposal, whether you know what this research proposal is about, whether you have an idea of the country you are living, you know, basics about the Kenyan government, because I mean,
so you had all these things,
yes.
you had them?
You
really, including a proposal?
You need to have a proposal.
Okay.
Because for you to be able to get a supervisor, you must have a proposal. So that's one of the things you should do well in advance. So you need to have a topic in mind. You need to have a proposal that is ready. And based on the school, the doctoral program that you're going to join, please read again on the website their requirements.
Okay.
Because they tell you, we expect this number of characters.
For the proposal. So you'll now be just adjusting your proposal.
Yes. So just be adjusting for it to fit the doctoral program that you actually want to join. So yeah, so that's how I ended up applying for Hungary. Yeah, it's not that I had it in mind, but I came across it, and it's an excellent opportunity. I have no regrets. Yes.
Yeah. So this is fully funded, a fully funded program.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a fully funded program. Yeah.
Interesting. And but how long has it been now?
I've been here now for 1 year and 5 months.
Wow, it's been quite some time. Yes. And that's interesting. So how has the experience been? I mean, not been to Hungary before. Now in Hungary, you're from Kenya. How is it?
Oh my goodness, it was so different. especially because I arrived during the autumn. So I found an in-between, so it was quite hot when I got here, but with time, as the months kept going on, as we headed to December, the first major challenge was temperature. I mean, the temperature drop was different. I hadn't experienced winter before. It was very cold.
I mean, winter in Kenya is something foreign unless it's
I mean, you can't compare the temperature in July and the temperature here.
Not even the one in Limuru.
No. Limuru is nowhere close to what winter is really like. I mean, sometimes we do get to negative, and it's still much warmer in this part of Europe, because there are places where it gets to -20, -40. I mean, that's pretty cool. Wow. It's like being in a freezer. But for us, at least,
and people survive.
At least this winter has actually been much warmer. It's only gotten to maybe -2. So
can imagine.
So temperature was like the
first shocker.
The first real shocker. And then also language. So my program is in English. It's taught in English.
Okay.
But you will find that, I mean, if I go to the supermarket, I need to learn some basic Hungarian. So I need to learn to say hello. I need to be able to ask a question, ask directions.
So how do you say hello in Hungarian language?
So the official one would be something that is a little more formal, would be Jonapot Kivanok.
What? Yes. Sounds a tongue twister.
Or if it's a bit casual, then if it's one person, you'd say Sia. If there are many people and you're saying hello to many people, then you say Sia Stock.
Okay. Sia Stock.
So
okay. Interesting.
So you have to learn like basics, and then you have to learn also, like when, for example, like you visit the supermarket, now the labels are all in Hungarian. So that's another challenge. I am used to my milk packet.
In English.
It's everything, the ingredients and all that is written in English. But here, everything is written in Hungarian. So, and then the products there are some products you can figure out because there is some wheat shown on the packaging, so you can figure out this is wheat. But then again, you do need to establish. I mean, like here they have different products for wheat. So we find there's specifically that which you can use for making chapatis. There will be one that will be very specific you can use for bread. I mean, it's very different. The packaging is different. Like when I came, I realized that the packaging on the milk. So back at home, it has a cow. I mean, you don't have to think so much about a cow. I mean, I did not see a cow on the packaging, and had it not been that I had someone to show me around, I honestly would have figured that they don't sell milk.
Actually, I was going to ask, did you have someone who was going to help you in that place?
Yes, I actually had somebody who picked me from the airport, took me to the school dormitory because that's where I stayed for the first year.
Okay.
And she also took me to the supermarket. She helped me buy a new line.
Was this a fellow student or?
Yes, it's a fellow student.
From Kenya?
Yeah, she was a schoolmate, yes, and a Kenyan.
Oh, okay.
And awesome. She also helped me figure out, you see, for example, like for the electronic, for our laptops and our telephone and our chargers, you find that you need an adapter because they use the 2-pin and back home we use the 3-pin.
Okay.
So those are they're small things.
They're small, but
the laptop could simply go off because you don't have an adapter. Or you can't charge your phone because you came with a 3-pin and the phones here have a 2-pin. Yes. So those were like some basics. So I did get help from a fellow colleague in school. I really do appreciate that I had someone to walk me through. And then the other thing also was you have to use Google Maps everywhere.
So it actually works,
It actually works. There's no dead end. I mean, if it shows on the map, it exists.
Okay.
And you can time yourself. So it tells you you're moving from point A to point B, and it's going to be exactly 23 minutes. It's exactly 23 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, it tells you if you're going to walk, you need to walk for 4 minutes. You need to walk for 5 minutes. So you can really
and you can
balance
trust
your
you will
time.
use that time. Yeah.
You can trust.
Okay.
You can trust.
Okay.
Yes.
At least, yeah, of course, it works over here in Kenya, but there are many options.
Yeah, you have to. Yes.
You need to factor in the cows you're talking about.
Yes. So,
okay.
so
And did you find a community of Kenyans apart from this one friend of yours?
Oh, yes, I did, because the very first community that I got were my fellow colleagues within Corvinus University of Budapest. So my Kenyan community. And so from there, and those that had already finished their master's program and they were already working here. And then from then on, I was able now to meet the larger Kenyan group, which we actually have an association called AKESH. So it's an association for Kenyan students currently living in Hungary. Yeah, and we are many. There are very many Kenyans here.
Okay, yes. So actually there is a support group. It's easy to adapt once you have a group like that. It helps.
Yes, there is a support group.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And
yeah.
So that's about adjustment, cultural shock. How about study? How different is it?
Yes.
Now that you did your master's here, you're doing a PhD there.
I think there are a few differences, because one of the things that I've realized, like for the master's program, is that when I was doing my master's program, I did 1 year of coursework and then 1 year of
research.
Of the research and simply working on my thesis. But here they actually do them concurrently. So the program is 2 years, but then you find that you have a lot of coursework. There are very many courses, and you have quite a number of both obligatory courses and elective courses. And sometimes elective courses are offered in other schools, in other schools. So that means that then you are able to get a lot more from the institution. And then I feel like you get a lot more, you get a lot more information, because the coursework is not simply tailored to your program only. You can diversify it a little bit.
It's an interdisciplinary approach.
Yeah, it's an interdisciplinary approach, which helps, because then with your master's, then you can think broadly in terms of work. Then you don't have to simply be tied down to one discipline.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've noticed that is different. The other thing also is, like, for example, the master's program, the students are expected to learn the Hungarian language in their first year.
This is specifically for masters only? So for PhD, this is not a requirement?
So for the PhD, it is a requirement in some universities, not in all universities. So it's important for one to establish whether that's a requirement for the school that they go to. Yeah, so for some PhD programs, you still need another foreign language apart from English.
Okay.
Yes. But then it's actually also the master's program here is very intense. It's extremely intense. Yes, but it's still, there's a lot of group work, there's a lot of coursework, a lot of presentations. The approach is different. The exams are very different, because after the 2-year program, they have what they call a comprehensive exam, which is what you'd call like defending your thesis. But then it's a lot more. There's the theoretical aspect where they actually assess all those courses that you've been studying. Like they'll give you a few areas that you need to prepare for.
Okay.
And you also need to defend the thesis that you have actually developed. So I think, and also the international exposure. Yeah, because you do find that you have students coming from very many parts of the world, from Asia, from Africa, from other European countries through the Erasmus program. You also have other people coming from South America. So the international exposure.
Exposure.
Is really
That's good. That's a description of a very rich program, and I think it's very good. I was wondering now, for someone who might not get to Hungary via scholarship,
okay,
how assuming, because I know one of the strategies Kenyans use is they get sponsorship maybe from their parents for the first 1 year, and they're thinking about, I'm going to get some job, support myself. Is that feasible? Is that something that can work for someone who is self-sponsored?
Yes, it is feasible, because even for the students who are here on scholarship, they you are still allowed to work, and you can work up to about 20 hours per week.
Okay.
You can work 20 hours per week.
And are the jobs available? Because you can.
The jobs are available for student jobs are available.
Okay.
But this is what the disclaimer here is, that you need to be really open-minded, because some of the jobs that you are likely to come here and do as student jobs is probably work in a factory, or let's say in a warehouse. So you probably do some packing, you probably do some very basic manual jobs. You might probably have to work at a cafe or a restaurant. You might have to clean. You might have to, you might have to do odd jobs to be able to earn that extra income. So it's that you need to change your mindset in terms of how you look at work. So don't choose the job based on, and some people also, are extras, work as extras in terms of actors in movies. So for Netflix, so we have all manner of jobs here.
And with that kind of working, you can actually sponsor yourself in school.
It's possible. However, I do have to say that then it can be challenging. I wouldn't want someone to come with the expectation that they will work and be able to fully sponsor themselves. I still feel like, for example, if you are here and you have your parents, they're paying for you. So maybe what you could do is that you could help, reduce how much then they are contributing towards your stay here. So probably maybe they might fund your tuition fee, but then you might say, then I will work towards ensuring that I get some money maybe for my food, or contribute towards my housing. Yes, because with the current inflation, I can't promise you that the amount of money you're going to make can actually be able to pay for your housing, pay for your food, and still pay for your tuition fee. That would be a stretch.
Okay. And what are the estimates in terms of if someone is considering a master's program, maybe self-sponsorship or PhD? What are the approximate? We're talking about the first year, you need to pay this amount of money, so that even as people prepare, they need to be thinking about this.
So now the estimates wholly depend, again, on the school that you're going to.
Okay.
So I can't put a figure to it, because then different universities will charge differently. Different programs will also charge a different amount. My suggestion would be that you simply go to the website, and they will be able to. Sometimes you actually find that these universities already have the tuition fees already. It's there. So you simply need to convert it into Kenya shillings and simply establish how much you will actually be paying for the tuition fee.
Okay.
Wow. But the thing is, what I would like to encourage people is that it's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah, because I have come across Kenyan students who are studying here, who are sponsored by their parents. Their parents are paying for it. I have come across, even from other nations as well in Africa, that have found that they can do schooling here. So this is an alternative.
It's actually possible.
Yes, it is possible.
Yeah, and that's interesting, because I think I like the bit that you said, people are being open-minded,
Yes.
Because you can get sponsorship the first year and then things happen. So I think it's good to always be prepared.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think I'd already asked that, but you have responded about preparations. If someone is thinking about going to Hungary, and I think you've already mentioned that.
Maybe a few more things maybe I could mention in terms of preparation is that your documentation. There are many things that we actually take a lot for granted. For example, if you go to, so when it comes to, for example, certification of your documents, the copies of your certificates, if you're going to certify your KCSE certificate,
yes,
you need to have a school living certificate. You see, that's the one of the documents we don't care so much about.
Yeah, because you're thinking the
maybe
results ones is there.
Where will I ever use that document? But it's actually a very important document.
Okay.
You cannot certify your KCSE certificate without your school living certificate.
Are you talking about certification while you're already there or before you?
So let's start from way before you even make the application. So when you're looking at the application process, some of the requirements as you're making this particular application is that they will require certified copies of all your certificates. Yeah, so that's your KCSE certificate. If it's a doctoral program, then it means even your master's, all your transcripts for your bachelor's, for your master's program. So for you to certify, for example, a KCSE certificate, you need to have a school living certificate. Otherwise, that will not be done by the Ministry of Education. And you find that for certification also is not just from the university itself. You also need certification from the embassy.
Okay.
From the Hungarian embassy. And for you to certify, they will need original copies
of your documents.
So you need to have your documents in order. You need to have them, certified. You need to check, for example, like when you're going to have that certification done by the embassy, you need to do it in good time.
Yeah.
And there's also certification through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And that is done on specific days of the week. So they don't do that every day. So
so timelines become very important.
Extremely important. And also check the timelines for the interview for the Ministry of Higher Education. Timelines for making sure that you have applied on the portal of that particular scholarship. Because you see, you're applying through the Ministry of Higher Education. So you'll have an interview with that, but you're applying also through the particular platform of that scholarship program.
Okay, so you're doing parallel applications.
Yes, at the same time. So you need to be careful to ensure that you meet requirements for both. Requirements for the agent and requirements for the scholarship program. And requirements for the school and the timelines for the school. So you need to look at this very broadly and be very strategic about how to go about it. Ask for help.
Sorry, I just heard you mention agent, and I know sometimes this one evokes a lot of how can people take care not to be conned? Sometimes you're talking about how do we know this is a legit? Is it you check with the institution?
I would say, there are very many agents that work, but as I said, like for example, you find that like for the scholarships already being offered through the Ministry of Education, you're most likely going to find that the government, in one way or another, is an agent. So that's a safe bet already. You're working through the government. For example, like the Stipendium Hungaricum scholarship program that I joined, the Ministry of Higher Education is the agent. So you see, that's a government body.
That's true.
Then you can say, then the process is a bit, you do
credible.
Understand they're not going to con you. But I know that there are also many other agents that take people to school in other countries, maybe like in Australia or in Canada or in the UK or other nations. So I think the thing is that you need to do your research. You really just need to spend time and do a lot more research. Don't just trust people because they said it. Verify. Verify. Verify.
And that's true.
Find people maybe within those in those nations as well that are already there, that are funding through those scholarship programs as well. That can give you a lot more information. So,
Okay, interesting. And I think that's true. Just be prepared and do your due diligence, check the institutions and all that. And maybe just one thing about the PhD. So the rigor, I think you had already mentioned, and maybe this could be the last question. How rigorous is for someone who's preparing to come for a PhD program?
I think you need to be psychologically prepared for the program.
Yes.
I cannot overemphasize that because it is intense. it's extremely intense. And I'll give an example of what I mean by an intense program. So, for example, in my program has an expectation. You have what we call study credits. So study credits are the credits you get from the classwork that you're going to take. There are several courses that they expect you to take in the first 2 years of your study here. Yes. And they have, so we have study credits, and then we also have publication credits. So that means from the onset, from the time you actually set foot to start off your PhD program, you need to start thinking about publishing articles in journals. So therefore, that means if you can already start publishing before you start your PhD program, it actually really helps because it will count. Yeah, but then that means you do need to understand that here, when it comes to publications, they are very particular in terms of the kind of journals.
Journals,
peer-reviewed journals, and then they need to be, verifiable. It's not just a peer-reviewed journal, but I mean, we, like, for example, we use what we call the Schema-Go journal ranking, which shows you Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and then you have different publication points that you get based on the level of the journal, whether it's a Q1, a Q2, Q3, Q4. Yes. And so therefore that is also very important.
Wow. So that's part of the program. By the time you're starting, I mean, to the time you're done.
Put in a lot of effort in the area of research.
Yeah. So sorry for that. Okay. Wow. So really you're emphasizing the intensity.
Yes.
Intense.
So that's as far as publishing. Yeah, and not just that, there's also the research aspect, which is separate from these other ones that I have said. And the research aspect is that you need to continually work on your research topic. You need to make time to attend conferences, whether it's local or international conferences, and you need to go there and make presentations of the research. So therefore, that means that you're doing all these things parallel at the same time. So you are doing a research, you are studying, you are publishing journal articles, and at the same time you also have teaching activities. So you're probably supervising some master's thesis or a bachelor thesis.
So like your program, your scholarship also entails that. Sorry.
Teaching a course. My scholarship program, yes, every doctoral program is unique in the requirements, but you do find that, yes, we do have credits that are related to teaching.
Okay.
So it's either that you're teaching or you're doing other teaching activities, like grading or thesis supervision.
But I like it because at the end of the day, it's really growing you fully as an academic. I think
it's a wholesome program. It does equip you not simply for academia, but I mean even for the corporate world, because at the end of the day, you will establish whether you want to stay in academia or you would like to branch off to the corporate world. And whichever way it goes, you are well prepared. Yes.
Yeah, although I'm already thinking about people like me with families and maybe small babies. I don't know how you'd survive with all this intensity.
Feasible. I think I would say that it's still feasible. I do have colleagues that I know had families.
Yes.
And I mean, they of course, that means you have to make a sacrifice.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, you have to really make a huge sacrifice, which means that you'll have to stay away from your family for long periods of time. That means you might not necessarily have a social life.
Yeah, something has to die.
For sure. You have to give up something, but it is feasible.
It is worth at the end of the day.
And it's worth it. At the end of it, the exposure that you get here is really amazing. I really have no regrets.
Yeah. Wow, wonderful. I don't know, Zippy, anything else you want to share? I mean, from all this discussion about PhD in Hungary, anything that just came to mind as we were discussing, or anything you want to add?
I also wanted to share just something else about, in terms of something else to expect is the issue of housing. Yeah, I would like to mention something about housing, especially because generally in Europe, one of the things that you're going to find is that please expect that you're most likely going to, as a student, one is that you might have to live in a dormitory.
Like you did your first year?
Yeah, like I said. And for me, at least, I got with a school dormitory. But then you might also have to get like what they call private dormitories, which are not necessarily owned by a school.
The institution, yeah.
Yeah. And you also, there is what we call also shared housing systems. So you sublet in an apartment.
Okay.
And the cost of housing is high. So as you're factoring in the cost of coming to do your doctoral program, you do need to factor in that housing is going to cost you a lot.
Wow. And we don't have the wrong guy of those places where it's
no,
cheaper.
that thing I don't know of cheaper. I mean, and to put into perspective is that you might find there are houses that you're staying, you're in a shared apartment, and probably the room that you are renting in the apartment can cost you 20,000 Kenya shillings.
Wow. And this is monthly.
Yes, and that's on a monthly basis. So housing is something that you really need to think about deeply, and you do need to do your due diligence in terms of establishing where you're going to stay beforehand.
Yeah.
So it's very important that then you consult. It's very important that you do your research. But then you also find that the institutions normally send you an information or an info or an information guide, a guide
that prior shows to you joining them.
Yeah, when you're joining the institution, please read through that book. You know, don't just scan through it quickly. Read it. Yeah, because you see, like you do need to know the expectations, for example, like your social security, in terms of for you to be able to get help in a hospital. You cannot get a job without a social security number. You cannot get a job without a tax ID, which is what we call a KRA PIN. So you also need a tax ID here. You need to establish, how do I get that? You need to establish how many hours you need for you to be able to work. Where can you work? What kind of employment agencies? Because here you do find work through employment agencies.
Yeah.
So so you do need to really do a lot of research.
Yeah.
Before you actually go into any country, you do need to establish all these things. Read through, if it's a scholarship program, what are the expectations of your scholarship program? Because, for example, because you do find like sometimes you could violate your scholarship program and then end up being kicked out of the program. So you need to establish, do they expect, is there a minimum credit score that you need to maintain?
Yeah.
Are there, for example, like sometimes you also find that they expect you to stay within the country during your period of study. Okay. When you're not on a break, they expect you to be within the university. Read through what are those small details.
So you're not surprised at the end.
Yeah. Don't get surprised at the end. Make sure you really read the regulations clearly. Spend time to understand.
Although I'm also sure that the institution in some way has got some support system for the students.
It does have a support system, but I will say, like any other university out there, there is too much information. So you need to also be very clear on ensuring that you understand how your program works, ensuring that you're consulting your supervisor, ensuring that you are forming a very good partnership with your classmates as well. Because there's information that other students know that you have no idea of.
That's true.
So no man is an island. Work with other people, ask questions. There's really, you'd rather continue asking questions than to stay mute and assume that you know while you actually have no idea what you're doing.
What's happening? That's true.
Yes.
Wow, interesting. And maybe I just remembered something about social life, about, if you want to attend church, things like that.
Yes. Oh, yes, that's also something else I also wanted to mention about church. So when you're thinking about maybe identifying a place of worship.
Yes.
It would be very important to again do your research in advance. Because for example, yes, you do have to do that in advance, because for example, you do need to ask yourself, so am I a Catholic? And so I'm looking for Catholic churches that, and do they have an English service? Because since most of them will have they're using the local language for their masses, so you want to attend an English service. Do they have an English service? So are you a Pentecostal? Are you a charismatic? Are you coming from the evangelical? So you know, are you a Muslim, and are you looking for a mosque? So all that is important, because you need to establish the kind of place of worship that you need to go into.
That's true.
So find out whether they are able to speak in the language that you best understand, or do they have translations? What timings? Because that's also a really good place for you to be able to meet other people.
Okay.
So that then you're able to social, because this place can be lonely. Extremely lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have just arrived.
Not like our Kenyan context where you can visit people. You have all the time.
No, I mean, yeah, you cannot just walk into someone's house. They have a door pass. They have a code to get into the building. They have a, you know, so before you even get into the building, you actually need someone's code, or they need to open it for you. So that it can get very lonely. Yeah, and you need to make sure you're getting people around you. So make sure you look for the Kenyan community. Yeah, whether they are students, whether they are working here, it's good to interact with other people. They'll help you, you know, get over the cultural shock. They'll tell you where to get the Kenyan spices. You know,
ugali.
Yeah, because I mean that's a big deal. Yeah, I mean ugali is a problem here. I hardly eat as much ugali as I would want to. Yes, because they can only get that particular type of flour in a specific shop. So if you have no connections, nobody will tell you. So that you will stay without your ugali. So it's important. They're small things, but they count.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And just expect that you are living in an international environment. So that means that you have to respect different cultures.
Yeah,
people are different.
Yeah.
And expectations. Your expectations of friendships versus their expectations of friendships.
Yeah.
Those are going to be different. Your expectation of how worship looks like and the expectations of what worship looks like is going to
or even what you're used to.
Yeah, what you're used to is completely different. Yes. So you really do need to be open-minded. That's the bottom line. Open-minded.
Yeah. I think that's all about it. It's learning really, because I mean cultures will be different. I remember we were teaching about this intercultural communicative competence, you know, just learning other cultures and, you know, accepting them as they are and things like that.
Yes. And appreciating that there are some things that you need to change, and there are things that and there are things that you need to adopt from other cultures.
That's
because true. They are actually good practices. Yeah. So don't be so stuck in your ways. Don't be rigid. You need a lot of flexibility. Yeah, just be willing to learn. That's true. That's all there is to it.
True.
Yes.
Wow, Zippy, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's really been very helpful. I'm sure, you know, sometimes when people are looking for scholarships, sometimes people won't just want to, is there someone who's gone there? Is there a story you can get, you know? Is there something I can learn? So I think through PhD stories like this, it becomes very helpful to potential students, or even someone who's already in the program and is wondering, I was thinking about this. So yeah, this is helpful. So thank you so much for sparing your time in your busy, but at least now you're getting the Kenyan experience when you miss Kenyans.
Oh yes, this is actually quite helpful. I do this a lot. I actually have to make lots of phone calls to my friends, to family, and it helps me get that feel of, I mean, they're not too far away. They're just a screen away.
So it's 2 hour difference, yeah?
So at the moment, during winter, we actually go back with, we lose 1 hour.
Oh, okay.
And so
where does it disappear to? What do you mean? We always have our time here, our hours here. They don't disappear.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so we actually 2 hours behind, but then once we get to about spring or heading to summer, then we go back to the usual timing, which is 1 hour behind.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Great to learn. Wow, so thanks so much. I really appreciate. And yeah, I think we'll bring it to a close at that.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate.
I
appreciate, because
all
getting
the
an
best.
opportunity to help someone is,
true.
Yeah, I mean, when we were trying to get information ourselves, it was not easy.
Yeah.
And you wanted something like this,
That's
a
true.
platform where somebody can give you an idea of what it is that you should look out for.
Yeah.
Where you should look. Yeah. So that for me.
So probably if someone is looking for you maybe on social media, they'll just find you via Zipporah Mwangi in case someone has a question to shoot or something like that.
I mean, on LinkedIn, you can get me on Zipporah Mwangi, so you can reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I think that would be the platform I would best
recommend.
I would best suggest that you reach out to me, especially if you're looking towards professionally. Then Zipporah Mwangi would be the place to get me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Once again, I appreciate. I think I've said. We're Africans, we're Kenyans. We say thank you so many times. That's our characteristic. Yeah.
So true.
All right. So we'll catch up some more. And enjoy your. Is it evening now? Yeah. Afternoon.
It's afternoon.
Yeah. Okay.
Asante sana.
Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Bye.
Bye.